Alrighty, what's going on? It is Saber Attack, and we are back with another update to Steamworks. This is a even bigger update than the last update. I'm gonna go through everything in this video. We're gonna go over the Steam headers, the valve pipes, the alternate crafting recipes, some audio fixes, alternate recipes for other things, the ability, well, this was already shown the last time, but they make the valve pipe wrenchable. Um, we also implemented a bug fix, so if the network is at full pressure or full water, adding another pipe onto the network will update that pipe with the full water and pressure status, so it no longer, you don't have to basically break a pipe on one end and reset the network. Additionally, we also have a feature that I'm actually pretty excited about, and I did get around to, and that is the Steam Hammer. And that's all going to be covered in this video. Alrighty, so getting started, one of the first things we have on this update is the Steam header. Now, what does the Steam header allow you to do? The steam header essentially is your pressure tank. It is your containment tank. So with your boilers, and let me actually connect this. Bing. I'm going to need you. And a vertical pipe. Actually, no, I need you. Just like that. And I'll just keep using these T-pipes. Perfect. All right. So now this is connected. This will be better for the demonstration. The steam headers allow you to effectively collect the pressure, and if you press H, there is the crafting recipe, the copper plate, iron plate, or the alternate crafting recipe once it cycles there, which you can get is the tank top rather, the tank middle section, and then just an iron plate, and this will yield 2 steam headers. Now, something to note about the headers actually individually contained 50 pressure each. So if you place one header, it will contain 50 pressure. This is a multi-block structure, so if you want to make this a bigger header tank system, simply add it on an adjacent, and as you can see, it went from 50 to 100. It has to be on one of these faces, so if I try to add one here, doesn't work, and so on. But if you want to make bigger tanks, you can do that. You can just, and all of a sudden we have 700 pressure capacity we could hold going up. And then over here is a bigger example. This can hold 6,250 pressure, which it has some stored currently. Let's see, moving on. So the steam headers also now have a header valve pipe that goes with them. And if I search up the valve pipe, here's the recipe. Takes a temporal gear, as the valve pipes are kind of a more, I think, unique pipe, but it yields 3 valve pipes, so you could have 3 different connector faces, you can see over there. Also to note, on these header tanks, that you could have as many of these valve pipes as you want, as long as you have open faces. So here we're just basically limited by the number of faces you have on your system, with how many possible outputs or inputs you could actually have. And so here you can see a bunch of debug on the actual header valve pipe. Currently it is in output mode. The pipe itself has 3 separate modes. So right now, or sorry, it's not an off, it's in output mode. So whatever is in this essentially header system is being output to the network. If we were to change that with an open hand, speaking of, with an open hand, when you're looking at the valve pipe, you'll just right click, and as you can see, the mode changes. Right now it's off, So it can't go in either direction. And if we change it as an input, we can see it'll draw steam into the header system. Right now, that's off. If we change that to output, we can see we're getting much more pressure generated into that. Let's change that off for now. What else? So I showed you everything there. Something else now. We also have alternate recipes for some of the pipes themselves. So I'll just get the vertical pipe out here to show you. It's either 3 iron plates to produce 3 vertical steam pipes, or a rusted pipe, vertical rusted pipe, and an iron plate to produce 3. If we look at U, as you can see, rusted corner pipe and an iron plate produces 3, or 3 iron plates. You should have. This must be one of the pipes that actually doesn't have a mapped alternate recipe, but that's okay. T pipes do. I miss. There we go. Yeah, T pipes do. The 4-way pipes also do. And I believe that is, and of course, the straight pipes have a recipe. That is all on the crafting recipes for that. Additionally, the boiler now has an alternate crafting recipe. Here you can see it. You can either do the iron plate and copper rod recipe, or you can use the boiler door, boiler body, and a boiler end to make a steam boiler. Now let's get around to some of the more nitty-gritty stuff. I'm going to show you some of the sound and UX fixes. So here we have a sawmill. Previously, if you were to pause in a single-player world at least, and the tick stop in the world, the animation and sound would still continue for the sawmill. That has been updated, so now in a single-player world, is there enough? No, there's not enough pressure. Ah, that's funny. We are venting. We also need more coal. All right. And that should be good now. Also, to open Boiler GUI, control right click. That's there. And just to review the steam pump. So if this was going to work like this, so you need a water source that's a 3 by 3 by 2 deep water source with a vertical pipe placed in the center here. So the water pump, to give you a reminder, takes input from the left and outputs to the right. So that is the wrong position. That is the correct position. So yeah, as we can see, the pipe starting to drain that water supply, and we're starting to put that on the network, and it's being consumed by both of our steam boilers. Here we see the sawmill's on. If we pause, sound stops and the animation. There we go. Now you can see sound stops, animation stops. And I'm in a single player game, so if you're in a multiplayer game and it didn't pause, it should still continue. And it looks like it finished its job. Same thing with the steam engine. The steam engine was made from just the sound, so if we pause, sound stops. What else? Boiler, so venting. So let's actually let that boiler get some pressure. Now if we vent it, we pause, the animation particles stop and the sound stops. That's perfect. Let's reconnect that to the network and stop the venting. Moving on, what else do we do? We also fixed the block steam pump registration errors. So when you load into a game, they should not appear anymore in the little debug bar. And in addition, we made the actual, so these header valve pipes that I showed you are wrenchable. So like that. anywhere you want it to go. Something I should mention about these, if you'll notice, they have a much bigger face on one side and a smaller face on one side. That is because the bigger face is meant for the Steam header connection. So if we go like this, we can see it's not going to really work for us. Yeah, as you can see, the pipe side and the header side, it says missing versus, oh, why'd I break it? I should have just rotated it. It's okay. It is okay. I, of course, did it wrong again. All right, so yeah, now we can see that it says connected and the input works, output works, and off state does in fact work. And also let me fill this with pressure so that way I can show you adding pipes to a full network pressure does work now. So currently, one thing that will be removed before this is released. Right now, to make it easy on me, I added a temporary mechanism that if I right click on a Steam header, it'll increase the pressure. That'll be gone. So now if we output that, see, we'll start filling the pressure. Let me also isolate the network. Oh, I was dumb. That is water. So then if well, it doesn't really matter at this point, but so yeah, we're at 200 pressure. If we add a pipe, we can see it's been updated to that Steam network and the pressure is updated, and it keeps doing this. So there, for instance, 0 to 200 connected. There we go. And the show does not work like that. And it works for all of the pipe types. What else do we do? So another thing, if you might notice, the pressure actually increases pretty rapidly on the boilers now. This is because the new pressure generation is not 1 per tick, but rather a 1.5 per tick. So here's a good example. Actually, not really, because it's being sucked out. So yeah, here we go. We can see it's a little more than a 1 tick now. It's 1.5 per tick, which helps a little bit. Reconnecting. What else am I going to show? I'm going to also start fencing in, just so we don't have an explosion. That's been ingrained into me now. Four-way pipes. So there's a new pipe type. It is the four-way pipes, are essentially a half junction. A full junction will have the top and bottom also connected. This also works, so as you can see, works with the rest. We can also do a pressure like that. So you can see, updated to 200. If we start sucking some of the, oh man, input, you can see headers are getting more pressure, but our network is losing its pressure. Turn it off, and it stays. Now, getting to the cool feature, we have the Steam Hammer base. Oops. There's two new items that I didn't talk about but are here. That is the Steam Hammer base and the Steam Hammer head. And the crafting recipe for the Steam Hammer base is, as you can see, it is pretty expensive, but that is because it has a pretty unique feature. And for the Steam Hammer head, it is 2 iron rods and an iron plate. It is similar to the Helve Hammer in that you have to right click on the hammer base with it to actually place the hammer head in it. So let's get over here. Placing it down, you can place it in any direction. Right? But the power connection side will always be on the back of it, like that. So place it like that, and it's hooked up. Now let's put its hammerhead in. So if you right click with the steam hammerhead in your hand, it'll place it in there. As you can see it rendered. And now there's nothing in your hand, just making sure everything was functional. Another thing it does, so it consumes twice the amount of, actually it might consume 3 times the amount of pressure than the steam engine. And it also has an animation. So what I just did there is I held control and then pressed right click while looking at the steam hammer, and you can either look at the part or the actual steam hammer base and do that, and it will start consuming pressure. So turn it on again. As we see, pressure starts dropping. Animation still goes off. Perfect. Now let's actually forge up this work item. Let's get some coal. Then let's get some in there too, just so I can show. And then we're going to make a torch. All right, all right. Something to note about the steam hammer base. The steam hammer base essentially functions in a similar manner to an anvil, with the exception that with a work item, you still need to select the crafting recipe on an anvil. It will not let you do it on the steam hammer base. And this is actually for a mechanical feature reason, which I'm going to show you. The reason it is like this, if only this would heat up a little faster. Come on, come on. All right, so first I'm going to show you what happens. So let's say we have a nice steel ingot right here, but it's not heated up. What you have the ability to do is you can actually use a steam hammer. So as you can see, we placed it on there. And when we turn it on, let me make sure it has plenty of pressure. Let me turn it to an output mode. And now, as we can see, it also has a hammer hitting sound effect. But what it'll do, and it only does this hammer hitting sound effect if there's a work item in the steam hammer base. Same thing with the steam effect. The steam effect will only come if there's an item actually in there. So if it's just turned on, it will, I guess, waste its resources on the particle generation and sound stuff. But as we can see, its actual work temperature is starting to go up. What the steam hammer base does is it uses some of the steam that's coming in and actually translates it into sort of this little mesh, as you can see, and it begins to slowly heat up our work item. And there is a temperature cap, and the temperature cap that it will get to is 700 degrees. So it will heat up your work items to 700 degrees. It'll also work for blooms and anything else that you need to be heated up to 700 degrees. Essentially keep it at a minimum, somewhat workable temperature. So now that we're 700, we can remove. And if we wanted, well, it's not a temperature for steel, but if it was copper, it would be. As we see, we just place it back. Now with the work item in place, this is a copper work item. Do we have another copper in it? We don't, we just have iron. That was poorly planned. But we can still show this with a iron bloom. So you can factor your iron blooms on here. And it'll slowly start heating up to workable temperature. Also, don't worry about the shape currently. So it visually looks like an iron bloom when it's in your hand, but if you place it on an anvil or the steam hammer base, it actually renders like this, and it'll actually knock off these extra pieces of slag here. And when all of these are knocked off, it'll be a completed ingot. And so I'll let it continue its job. Let's do blisters again. As you can see, now that it's at the temperature, it'll tell you in the debug the remaining slag voxels it's working on, and then the refinement voxels it needs. So it's technically adding material right now to the ingot to complete it into a fully formed ingot, just like a hammer would. And there we go. It now outputted an iron ingot. Let's put that down for now. Let's heat that up a little more, our iron ingot. Alright, so as I shown, you could not select the recipe on there, but you can select the recipe on the anvil. And another cool feature of the steam hammer is that you can actually craft any recipe you wanted. So as an exaggerated example, I've done it with multiple of these tools, but let's do a pretty big one. Let's do an iron helmet. Oh yeah. So currently we ran out of pressure. As we can see, the current pressure is 49. It needs, so the steam hammer needs 50 pressure essentially to run at a minimum. And if it's off, if it's in an off state, it will actually only start up if you get to 65 pressure. So now that it's off, you actually need to get back to 65 to start it up again. And that'll output to our network. Now that we're above 65, we can start operating again. We're gonna need way more iron too, so let's get this iron that we just made in there. Let's get some more iron ingots. Sweet. Need more fuel. So what it'll do, if it doesn't also have any more material to work on, it'll just keep doing its thing, keeping the material warm and doing the hammer effect, but it'll essentially stop working unless you add more material if it's a work item and not a boom or a blister steel ingot. Sweet. Let's get that in there. As we see, it starts working up again. Add another ingot. You know, to show that you can just, interchange this work however you want. Let's just take this guy, put it on the burner, take you, and let's do a steel ingot. Let's mix it up. All right. Ah, keep shooting it out over there. And so now we have a steel ingot. Sweet. Now let's take this guy, put you back on the little work table, and let's add another ingot. How many voxels do we have? Actually, we now have, it looks like the perfect amount of voxels. So we have 168 and 168 metal voxels there. What it's doing is it's just repositioning each of those voxels as needed. And thankfully, because of the steam heat that it's actually being put onto the ingot from the bottom, it's keeping our temperature from going down for now. And even when it does start to go down, it'll keep at a minimum 700-degree baseline. At the cost, however, as we can see, this thing does consume a lot of pressure. You can see it's just dropping and dropping. So we'll have to add more pressure. And there we go. We have a nice plate helmet. Yeah. And just to show you, it does break and the teardowns work. Break the center, all of it goes. Break that. You. And you. Yeah. And it perfectly tears down. So yeah, I hope you guys really like this update. I was actually had a lot of fun and a lot of unique challenges when I was working on the Steam Hammer base. Yeah, if you liked it, like the video, subscribe. It's fantastic. We're ending this on a nice, beautiful sunset, and I will catch you guys next time.